This video is going to show you how you can create your own IMathAS assignment using the existing questions in your course. So the best way to do this is to log into IMathAS in its own tab. So remember that the website is imathas.valenciacollege.edu. So your username will be your Atlas ID, and then your password will be either password, which is the default password you were given, or you may have changed it yourself. So once you're in your IMathAS home screen, you will click on the course that you want to build the assessment in. So I'm going to use this template course here. So what you want to do is that you want to add an item. You're going to click here and you want to add an assessment. So add assessment. You're going to give your assessment a name. You can type a summary, which shows up on the IMathAS page, but that's not really helpful if you have individually linked your assignments. So if you want to type instructions for your students to see, you can put them here under intro/instructions. Okay, so this is where you can set any available or due dates. You can also put a password in here if you want one. You would set a time limit here if you want a time limit on your assessment. Now this is going to be a assessment where you want to show all the questions at once, like a quiz or a test. Then your display method, you would not want to use skip around. Skip around is what it looks like for your homework. So I think full test at once will be the best one to use for that. So default points per problem means how many points you want each problem to be worth. You could do whatever you want for that. Default attempts per problem. So if you want them to have one attempt per problem, like say it's a test and you want them to have one attempt, you would make this number 1. If you want to give them more than one attempt, you would change this number. If for each attempt you want them to have a different version of the questions, you would click this box. If you want the multiple attempts to be the same version of the question, you would not click that box. And then you get into default penalty. That's if you want to have a penalty for any missed attempt. I don't like to do that. I'm going to press 0. And then this feedback method shows score in each question as it's submitted. I think the best one to use for like a full test or a full quiz would be to either just show the final score. So if you don't want them to have multiple attempts, you could choose that option. Or if you want them to see which ones they got right or wrong, after submitting, you could choose show score in each question at the end of the test. You can even re-show the question with the score at the end of the test. You want them to see not only what question they got wrong, but what was the question that they got wrong. I'm going to just show final score. There's a lot of other options down here. I would definitely use the equation helper and choose Math Quill Simple Form. That allows the student to click on that yellow arrow box to use the Math Editor option. And that's about it. If you categorize your assignments in IMathAS, you could tell it where you want it to go. If you're using the template, you should have some categories here. And that's about it. So we're going to create assessment. So now we're ready to add questions. So what you want to do, you want to go down to potential questions and you want to select from assessments. So when you click select from assessments, you're going to be able to choose any assessment or assessments that you want to pull questions from for this new assessment that you're making. So let's say I want to make a chapter 1 test. So I think a good place to get questions would be the chapter 1 homework. So I'm going to click those boxes. You can even select the chapter 1 quiz. And then once you've selected all of the assessments you want to take questions from, you're going to click use these assessments. So now you have all of them down here. These are all of the questions that are currently in these assessments. Now, if you want to see what they are, you can click on preview. So this one looks like this. So you can, submit to So if you want to see what the question looks like, you can click on preview, and that way you can see what the question actually is. You can click on show answer. It'll tell you what the answers are. And then if you want to add that question to your assessment, you can click mark question for use here, or you could check the box on this screen. Let's say I want to use this question. I want to use this question. I'm going to preview this one. Oh, I like that question. I'm going to mark that for use. So I'm choosing the questions I want to add. Once I've selected questions I want to add, and you can do this, more than once, we're going to say add. Now here you can set your points for each question. Now the default would be what we created when we first added our assessment, but if you want to change up the number of points or the number of attempts, you could do that here. I'm going to go ahead and say add questions. So now I have 4 questions in my new assessment. So you can change the order of your questions. If I want to make the slope of a line be question 1, I'm going to swap it like that. You can actually make question groups. Let's say that I want to group these 2 questions together. I can check the boxes and select group. And so now I have made those 2 questions to be like a question set for question number 1. And that is really it. You can add a text box at the end of your assessment here if you want to give them some instructions at the end of the assessment. If you want to remove questions, you can click remove, and it will get rid of the question from your assessment. And then you can continue to add questions down here. So when they're grayed out, that means the question is already in your assessment that you're making. And then you can continue to add more questions to your assessment. Click add questions. And now I'm adding more and more. Once I'm done, I'm going to click on done. If you want to preview what you have, you can click preview. You can see what your assessment is looking like. But once you're done, you can click on done. And then now you have a practice test. You have an assessment that you made here in your IMathAS course. Now, you need to be able to link this assessment you made with your Canvas course so your students can access it. Let's look at how we would do that. So whenever I add an assignment to my Canvas course, I like to add it in the modules page where I want the student to find it. I find that to help me keep track of where my content is for my students. So if I want this assignment to be in my chapter 1 module, for example, I'm going to go to the module. I'm going to click this add. I'm going to add an assignment. If I want it to be a new assignment, I'm going to give it a name. And then I'm going to add item. So here's my assignment. So now I need to tell Canvas what kind of assignment it is. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to edit this assignment. So you can put some instructions here in this text editor box if you want. You want your points here to match the number of points the assessment is worth in IMathAS. I believe we said it was worth 5 points. You can tell it here what group you want it to be in, so what grading category it should be in. And then if you want the grade to display as points or percentage, I like to do points at first, and then later I can change it to percentage in the grade book. Now this is the important part here, submission type. So you have to select external tool so that you can tell Canvas that this assignment should be linked to an external tool, which would be IMathAS. So now you have to find the external tool URL. So the quickest way is to click on Find, and if you scroll down a little bit, you will see IMathAS. So we're going to select that. If it's a test, I like to load the tool in a new tab. If you're creating like another homework assignment or quiz or something, if you don't click this box, the assignment stays in the Canvas window. If you click on this box, the assignment opens up in a new tab. And I like to do that for tests because students don't get confused on where they submit their test, like where they click the submit button. They don't have a next button to click, they only have submit to click. If you want to give it a due date, you could do that here, and then you want to save and publish your assignment. So now it is ready. Let me load it. It is ready to be linked to your course. So I'm going to select the assessment I want it to link to, and here it is. Make placement. Because you are in this course as the teacher, this is how it looks for you. If you want to see how it looks for your students, you can click on Preview Assessment, and there is our assessment that we made. It is now linked to Canvas, so when a student clicks on this in Canvas, it will automatically update the grades in Canvas.